Now back to Urban View Mornings with Greg Carr and Lamont King
on Sirius XM.
All right, back to it. All right, we got company. Let's check the cameras. Yes, please let her in the side door.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right, joining us this morning is Deborah J. Vagin is the National Campaign Director for Equal Rights Advocates, an organization that fights to protect and advance rights and opportunities for women, girls, and people of all genders in workplaces and schools across the country. As the director of Equal Pay Today campaign, she leads a coalition of over 50 organizations working to address economic justice issues across the country. On this, the anniversary of the the founding of the EEOC in 1965. Welcome to the program. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So we saw yesterday the Trump administration said that the firing of Commissioner Jocelyn Samuels was legal, saying that, obviously they can do what they want, the executive branch. When you hear the letters EEOC today, particularly given what has happened over these 6 months since we've in this second Trump administration, could you kind of give us a level set in terms of the importance of EEOC and what's really at stake and what this administration is trying to do to it, and by extension, due to the question of civil rights in this moment?
Yeah, and out of full disclosure, I was a chief of staff at the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC, for former commissioner and later chair Charlotte Burrows. So I hold this really close to my heart, and came up as a civil rights advocate and attorney. So today, as you said, marks the 60th anniversary of the creation of the EEOC. It is supposed to be an independent federal agency established to enforce our workplace civil rights laws and protect all workers from discrimination. And the EEOC was created out of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, born from the Civil Rights Movement, and then opened its doors 1 year later. It was created in that act and was part of the March for Jobs and Justice. It has an important legacy. And for 6 decades, it's enforced our workplace laws. It's investigated discrimination complaints about pay, promotions, hiring, and ensured equal opportunity for all workers. So this milestone, when you say, what do I hear? This milestone comes, this anniversary, as the Trump administration is dismantling the agency's core mission and independence, along with the current acting chair, which mirrors what the Trump administration is doing to civil rights across the entire country.
Absolutely. In fact, we should have led with that. Of course, we know in January, Trump fired your former boss and comrade and colleague, Charlotte Burrows. I mean, running roughshod over the rules. I mean, how should we be thinking about that? I mean, the fact that you can't have more than 3 members from one party on the EEOC, that Samuels herself was nominated to the EEOC by Trump in 2020 to fill a Democratic seat. But it seems like they've thrown all the rules out the window. Can you say something about that? I mean, where are we now in U.S. politics where these kind of things can happen with impunity, and then they go to the courts, and then, at least as we're seeing with this current Supreme Court, there almost seems to be an evisceration of the concept of the rule of law? Or am I overstating the case? From where you sit, where are we?
You've said it perfectly, succinctly, and probably better than I can say it. I mean, you've really encapsulated exactly what's going on. Trump's taking illegal actions and basically saying, catch me if you can. And there have been successes at some lower courts for some of the vast, so myriad of issues that we've been dealing with. But, we've seen at the Supreme Court, they haven't given him a full blank check, but they're getting close. And we're certainly worried about a lot of things. So, yes, he's taking you can call it different things, unprecedented, unchecked, often illegal actions, and waiting for repercussions that often don't come. So it's extremely troubling. I mean, look, there are organizations, there are folks that are fighting out there, but it is very difficult when the levers of power are not controlled by sort of forces that care about other folks, frankly.
Absolutely. It's I'm thinking about this now as you're talking, and like people can feel hopeless and be like, but I'm thinking about something you worked on when you were at the ACLU. Which, of course, is the Lilly Ledbetter Act, the first piece of legislation Barack Obama signed into law. Now, think about Justice Ginsburg reading her dissent from the bench and basically giving y'all the playbook and how to attack this. Now we see Sotomayor and Ketanji Onyeka Brown-Jackson maybe doing something, especially Sotomayor. Now, I guess I'm raising this for a couple of reasons. The question of gender in our politics and how separating people out, targeting them, and of course in this most recent iteration with EEOC is transgender community. The idea that you can somehow single people out, pick them off, and try to, not allow people to form a coalition so you can piece by piece undermine this question of equality and equity. When we think we can't fight back, your record has proven that we can. How important is building coalitions and building kind of solidarity politics and not giving up to this?
Well, you kind of made me tear up a little bit. I'm a small part in a very large system of folks that really work on these issues, but that means a lot to me. And you even saying that fills me with more like optimism and courage to move forward. You're exactly right. Allyship is critical. We have to stick together. Nothing, as you well know, nothing in the civil rights movement, in the women's rights movement, and the LGBTQIA plus movement has happened alone. We have to be in coalition. And part of my career, in addition to being a policy advocate, is to create coalitions. I was part of running the Lilly Ledbetter Coalition, which you mentioned.
And do you mind, because a lot of people might not remember the case of Lilly Ledbetter, so that...
Absolutely.
No,
so Lilly, go ahead. Sorry. Lilly Ledbetter was an employee, a manager who worked up to management at the Goodyear tire company in Alabama, and she found out after 19 years of working there that she had been paid less than all of the other male managers, even ones she had trained for 19 years. The way she found out was someone slipped her an anonymous note, because obviously at that point, companies, and still many today, don't want employees to know how much they make. So she sued, among other things, for pay discrimination, and she won. The jury said you've been discriminated against and handed her a award of over $3 million, which then was appealed and made its way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court never even ruled on the merits of her case at all. They said, well, you waited 19 years to sue for pay discrimination, and you needed to do it when the discrimination began, and therefore you lose at the Supreme Court. And there's nothing you can do.
Shout out, by the way, to William Rehnquist, John Roberts' mentor, who led that charge. Right? How's she going to sue when she didn't know? So
right. I mean, and this goes back to exactly what you said about Justice Ginsburg reading her dissent from the bench. Justice Ginsburg came up as an ACLU attorney, bringing cases, landmark cases on behalf of women, and she called out the absurdity of trying to bring discrimination cases when companies go to great lengths to not let you know what you are being paid. And there it was the majority white male Supreme Court, and they did not know how discrimination operated in the workplace, and she called them out, and she gave us a playbook to go to Congress and get the court case superseded by federal legislation, and that's what we did.
Is that the playbook for what we have to do now, do you think? In part. I mean, there's no one.
Yeah. Well, also, I also had the distinct pleasure of introducing Lilly Ledbetter to then Senator Obama.
Wow.
So I knew folks with both of their teams and got to introduce them. And what the difference is today is we had a Congress at that point, we had a Congress that would pass civil rights laws, and we had a president, ultimately, who would sign it. So we don't have that today, and that's the real problem. If there is a trifecta of government, right, the House, the Senate, the presidency, who are all conservative and looking to dismantle the rights of others, it makes our job, the job of advocates, so much harder. But we keep up the fight because we know for sure if we do nothing, then nothing changes. So we will keep up the fight, and we need people to vote.
Yes.
I'm nonpartisan, right?
Yes.
I'm nonpartisan. But you vote your conscience,
Vote your
and as things change, then we can make progress again.
Absolutely.
Now, is there? We don't have a lot of time, but we've seen the shift in language from DEI to meritocracy, which we know is fake. We've seen reverse discrimination being used as a tool, which we know is fake. What does the average person do to use the EEOC as a resource if they're facing actual discrimination? And is there somewhere in 60 seconds or less that you can point to them to go to for help?
Yes, so workers need to know that your civil rights are guaranteed in the law and those protections still exist. You should still go to the EEOC, and if they are refusing to bring action on your behalf because of their failure now, their abdication of transgender rights, or their attack on DEI programs, request what's called a right to sue letter so that you can still move forward and try to secure attorneys in other ways. We know that's expensive. We know that's hard. That's the point. They're trying to make it hard to bring these cases, but your rights still exist. And the acting chair of the EEOC, who's acting without authority, does not have the right to take them away.
Oh, excellent.
Man,
excellent.
that's a thunder moment to end on, or
Yeah.
pause on for now. Because
Yeah.
Deborah, hope you come back very soon, because I want to ask you some stuff about academia. I know you worked with the American Association of University Women. So many other things we want to do. Will you come back soon so we can continue this conversation?
Anytime. This is a real pleasure for me.
Oh, wonderful. Us as well, and very informative. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.